So tomorrow is going to be the decisive day in this Border Gavaskar trophy. And after the third test match, where Australia had a day which they would have never thought, even in the wildest of dreams, they'll win a test match, especially after Nagpur and Delhi. The idea from India in that test match at Indore was to prepare a ranked turner and get the series be done and dusted there. But in that ranked turner, they dig a hole for Australia, but they themselves fell into it, and there was completely lack of application from Indian batsmen, and India lost that third test match. Interestingly, after that test match, you had a press conference where Rohit Sharma said that it was the collective decision of the team management and of all the batsmen to make these kind of pitches, and these are result oriented pitches. But this was a classic case where your actions are completely different from your words. कथनी और कथन में बहुत बड़ा अंतर था, because what kind of a pitch you are seeing in Ahmedabad is completely different with what Rohit Sharma said in that press conference, that they want rank turners, they want result oriented pitches. The pitch in Ahmedabad is completely batting friendly, or is it? Because quite strangely, have the bowlers bowled too well? Have they bowled with too much discipline? Yes, the pitch is good for batting, but it does not look to be very conducive for free stroke play, because strangely enough, for all the 4 days, the run rate was very slow. Uh, Maybe the bowling may be too well in Ahmedabad pitch. The bowlers are bowling tremendous line and length and keeping it tight, because after lunch in second session, all those 4 days the run rate has been very low. But in the age of baseball, luckily enough, you saw some old traditional test match batting, Usman Khwaja and Virat Kohli. Usman Khwaja again. Over the last few years, Steve Smith and Labuschagne, they have been Australia's batting superstars, just purely because of the amount of runs they have managed to score. But in terms of caliber, I don't think there's any batsman better than Usman Khwaja, who plays spin, who plays spin as well as he plays fast bowling. He plays spin beautifully with a dead straight bat. He's very decisive on his footwork, picks up the length of spinners early. In terms of caliber, I know Usman Khwaja has probably not scored those amount of runs in last few years as Smith and Labuschagne have. But if we just talk about in terms of caliber, to me Usman Khwaja is slightly ahead of Smith and Labuschagne, although his numbers don't speak so, and he himself has to be blamed for it. But I think Usman Khwaja is slightly better in terms of caliber. So Virat Kohli, after 1200 days, after 3 years, managed to score a century again. And we have seen some beautiful innings of Virat Kohli over the past few years, where he has gone berserk, he has dominated the bowling. But this was a different innings. And this innings, when he reached his 100, he had just 5 boundaries. That means 80 of those runs came running. He got stuck at times. He couldn't rotate the strike, but he managed to cling on. You saw some determination, grit, and what's interesting is even after when he scored his 100, and when he was at 110, 120, throughout Virat Kohli's innings, the intent of running between the wickets was tremendous. That speaks a lot about his fitness. There was absolutely no sign of fatigue at all. So, kudos for his work ethic and maintaining that fitness over the span of last 10 to 15 years. Now, India have managed to get a 90-run lead, and quite possibly this test match would end up in a draw, unless and until cricket is a funny game. We have already seen in this series Australia being bundled out in a session or two, but it is hard to happen. And if it happens, it has to be Ashwin. It has to be Ashwin, and then supported by Jadeja, because in the pitch where you have nothing much for bowlers, there is turn. The pitch has started to deteriorate a bit, but the spin is it's slow turn, which is manageable. And If on this pitch a bowler takes wickets, it's purely because of its skill. So those 6 wickets of Ashwin in the first innings speaks a lot about his skill. Now moving on to women's IPL, another tremendous development for women's sports, women cricket in India. Women IPL. The matches have been good. Grace Harris and Sophie Eccleston pulled one off for UP Warriors. That match I watched. That was great. So hopefully in the coming seasons, women IPL will do a bit. And kudos to Virat Kohli again.